Hello, and welcome to Build Custom Reports in Minutes with SoGoSurvey. Before we jump into the actual presentation, I'm going to go over a little bit about SoGoSurvey. So who are we? We are here to make sure that you get the answers you need to make informed decisions for your organization, your business, or your research. And we have a range of tools to do that, from a closed-loop dialogue system to assessments to polls. We have a lot of things going on to help you get the answers that you need. Our headquarters are in Herndon, Virginia, and Mumbai, India. So this is me. I'm Kendall Place. I am an account manager, and I will be giving you a webinar today. So for today, for building reports, we are learning how to choose, build, and share your reports. So the lesson plan for today starts with the big picture, just an overview of everything. Then we'll go into best practices when creating reports, different report types, and then we'll jump into the platform and look at those report types. So first up, we have the big picture. Before you start creating your report, you want to ask yourself, what part of the data do I want to analyze? How do I want to be able to view the data? Who will I be sharing the report with? And what do I want the report to tell me and others? So you may have a survey, get a bunch of feedback, and not know where to start with the data. And that's okay. You might have to create a bunch of different reports, but the final report should be something that tells a story. And it tells a story that your stakeholders who are receiving the report want to read, want to be able to see. So you always want to be thinking about who your audience is and what story you want to tell with the report. Next, in the big picture, we have creating the report. So when you are actually going about creating the report and you've answered those previous questions, you want to be able to select a report type that complements your data and your goals. You also want to be able to quickly and easily generate a detailed report. So we will go over how to do that. We have a lot of different great reports available, and there should be one that fits your goals and your data. And lastly, when creating it, you want to make sure that the data is presented in an easily visible format. So whether that's the colors you choose or how much data you're showing at once, you want to make sure that it is in a bite-sized piece that people can easily consume. Next, we have managing your data and your reports. So after creating a report, you want to feel comfortable using additional options. So saving your reports, emailing the reports, managing filters, exporting data. Once you create your report, that's not the end of it. You need to send it out. You need to give it to people. You need to save it. So you can save the reports to the platform. You can email it out to your colleagues or yourself. You can also add filters onto the reports that if you email them out, your colleagues will also be able to filter by. And you want to be able to know how to export data. You also want to be able to use the information from this analysis to drive an informed decision. So this goes back to telling the story as well. What do you want your data to get to at the end? What is the main goal? What problem are you trying to solve? Okay, so next we are moving on to best practices. And the first thing here is consider the reporting needs of your audience while designing the survey. So we talked about this a little bit with the big picture. What story are you telling? What is the main point that you want to get across? But you really want to think about who your audience is, how much the information is relevant to them, and what they want to know. So you might have to create different reports for different audiences. Next, you want to make sure that you include all questions critical for segmentation and meaningful analysis in the survey. So if you want to segment by the location that your customers visited, location A, location B, location C, you need to ask that question in the survey. That way, on the backside when you're reporting, you can filter or segment by those different locations. Same things go for departments or age groups. You need to make sure that that is in the original survey. Next, you want to carefully select a report and the chart types in that report that will analyze and clearly display the data. Not all reports work for all types of data. Not all charts work for all types of data. So you want to make sure that what you're choosing actually makes sense with the data that it's displaying. The next thing is that you want to present your results in an intentional order to convey a meaningful story. So this just means that how people are receiving the report, question 1 is followed by another question that makes sense, and question 3 builds on the previous. So it's not confusing, jumping around. You don't want to ask an engagement question first, and then you jump to a culture question, and then compensation, then you go back to engagement. You want to make sure that it is in an easy to comprehend order. Lastly, on this page, we want to ensure that reports answer key target questions to inform decisions and actions. So we've talked about this before, about wanting to get to an action, knowing what action to take next from the results of your survey. So again, that's just something to keep in mind. Always have a key target in mind for what you want to know the answer to. And now we'll move on to the next page. So now we are looking at report types here. And yes, we have a lot of reports available. The most commonly used one is the Omni report. That is kind of your all-in-one report, covers 95% of people's needs. The individual and the response table are also very common reports. The other ones are useful as well. Some of the powers of them overlap, but they're all very useful in different cases. We will be specifically looking at the bolded ones here when we jump into the platform next. One of the features that is actually available in all of our reports is the ability to exclude or include questions. So say I don't want to include name or date of the visit. Continue, generate now. And now you don't even see those questions in my report. In the Omni report, you can edit the graphs. So if I hover over the question, hover over the graph, 3 dots appear, and I can customize the graph. So if I really like pie charts, I can make it a pie chart and I can apply it to all of the graphs, and all of the graphs will be pie charts. I can also change the color palette and have the ability to create my own custom color palette. The other thing that you can do to your graphs is if you have a rating question, as I do here, you can see. Right now it's broken down by percentages, and you can see the weighted score right here. But if I go to the other 3 dots, so before I showed you the 3 dots for the graph, this is 3 dots for the actual question itself. I can change it to weighted score that this shows. Or net intent, I could change it to, which is the amount of positive responses, which is 4s or 5s, minus the amount of negative responses, 1s and 2s, or percent favorable, which is just the percent of people who gave 4s and 5s. Okay. You can also apply filters and segmentation within the Omni report. So I'll show you a filter on the side here. You can add different filters. So if I wanted to filter by response period, meaning I set a certain response period and say I only want to see responses from May 1st to May 15th, I could do that. I can also filter by the questions that I have. So say I only want to see people who visited a certain location. So I can say it is one of the following. Let's say I only want to see Apple Drive and Banana Lane locations. So now my entire report is just showing people who visited Apple Lane or Banana Drive. On the flip side of filtering, let me remove this real quick. We have segmentation. So segmentation is seeing multiple slices compared to each other. Filtering is basically just seeing one slice at a time. So let's take this question here, and I can say, let's see how people who went to different locations, how satisfied they are with the time they spent in their office. So we will apply segmentation, again, the 3 dots here. Select the question that I want to segment by. So please identify the location, select which I want to show, and I'll just say show all for now. I can merge and rename these as well. I'll just leave it as it is for now and apply. So now you can see, okay, good. No one said they were extremely dissatisfied, but one person that went to Dragon Fruit Place was dissatisfied. Again, so I showed you before that I can change this from percentage to weighted score, and this might be more useful in some cases. So everyone that went to Apple Drive was extremely satisfied, whereas Clementine Circle, less so. Okay. I'll scroll back up and we can look at some of the other new features within the Omni report. The first one that we have here is scoring, which I've already shown you some of my scored questions, but now you can see multiple at one time. So you have a few different ways that you can show scoring. Again, weighted score, net and 10% favorable. I explained those before. We're just going to go with weighted score for now. So you can do overall weighted score, which is all of your weighted questions. What is the average of them? So if I save this, see, okay, 4.06, and that's out of 5. I can change it so it's question score, so I can see all of the scores of my questions, the average in one go. Or I could choose to do grouped question scores. So I can say, for group 1, I want to see the average of 11, 16, and 21 together. And for group 2, let's look at 6, 8, and 12. So now I have the average of all the questions in group 1 and the average of all the questions in group 2. For any of these ones that you create, you can also segment or filter. So if I wanted to go further and say I want to apply segmentation, I can do that, and we'll do it by gender this time. And now we have a breakdown of those 2 different question groups by gender. In addition to filtering and segmenting, there's one more type of breakdown that you can do, and it's actually under segmentation. This is creating data sets. So with regular segmentation, you're only comparing answers from a single question. So if I want to see results segmented by location, I can only show those locations. But if I create data sets, I can basically compare two different filters. I can say, I want to see location that they visited. Okay. Let's say I want to see location that they visited. Say is Apple Drive or Banana Lane. And I want to see that compared to people that said, just let's say, answered that they are women. Women, apple, and banana. With traditional segmentation, I wouldn't be able to see these two sets. But now with the ability to create data sets, I can. Okay. The last thing that I will show you in the Omni report before we move on is how to send, save, and download. So once you create your report and you like how it looks, you can email the report out. And this is a live link. So as more responses come in, whoever receives this email, they can click the link and see those the report updated with those responses. You can also save the report, which is this little floppy disk here. Once you save it, you can access it in saved reports, or you can export this report. So you can export it in Excel or PowerPoint. Different reports have different formats in which you can export it. Some reports export only in Excel, some export in Word. It depends on the report type. Okay, next we will move on to the individual report. So first, it's the first thing under raw data. And the individual report shows you one person's response at a time. This is good if you are receiving, if you send out a survey and you're receiving responses that you want to look at one person at a time. So, okay, this is Hank's, where he went, the date he went to the office, and all of his responses. The individual report is also where you can delete responses, exclude them from reports, or edit the response. If I click next, then my next participant comes up. Clara, all of her answers. So that is one report under raw data that is really useful if you want to drill down on a specific participant. The next is the response table, which the response table and the individual report share a lot of the same features. You get the same information from them. You're viewing them in different formats though. So again here, which I forgot to point out with the individual report, but you can include or exclude questions. You can also rearrange the questions if you would like to. I will include email address and date. You can apply a filter to this report. So I can say I only want to see the people that were at Clementine Circle. I won't though, I'll leave it to everyone. And here, each row is a different participant, and each column is a different question. So some people like this table to view data. Again, email, print, save, or download. The last one that I will show you under raw data is the verbatim report. And this one is for open-ended questions. So if you're sending out a survey that has a lot of open-ended questions and you want to look just at those responses, this is a really good report. So I will include these ones because they give me more information than just name and date. Continue. Again, I can rearrange. I went to exclude all did not answer here. If I didn't, then I would get blanks where people skipped over these questions. Again, I can apply a filter. This is unique to this report type. This is basically segmenting here, where I can say I want to break out the groups by the location that they visited. So it will show me question 7 responses from Clementine Circle, and then question 7 responses from Banana Lane. So that is always an option to group your questions. I did not do that, okay. So here now we have question 7, how one person responded, how other people responded to question 14, question 15. So always a good report to use if you're looking for open-ended feedback. Okay. The next report that I will show is the comparison report. So that is under legacy reports. And with the comparison report, you are comparing 2 or more filtered groups to each other. So I will include all questions here, just so we can see what that looks like. Again, you can rearrange if you choose. And just like I created data sets under segmentation, I would do the same thing here. So let's say we're comparing the normal results, or not the normal, but the average results overall, to people that, we can get really specific here. So let's say Apple Lane, so women that went to Apple Lane. So first I would choose the location is, oops, sorry, it's Apple Drive. And I'm going to add another one here. They are female, add the condition. And I want to say that it matches every condition. So every means that they went to Apple Drive and they're female. If I selected any, it'd say they went to Apple Drive or they're female. But I want to see Apple Drive and female. Continue. I'll leave both on here for now so we can see what that looks like. And here we have our comparison report. So data set 1, which is the overall compared to women who went to Apple Drive. Data set 2, or data set 1 compared to women. In this report, you can also show graphs if you wanted to. If that is more useful. So again, you can get this data to some extent in the Omni report. This is just more of a breakdown with the percentages and everything here. again at the top, save, print, email, print, save, download. Great. So now the next and last report that I will show you is the response trend report. So that's under legacy reports. And the response trend report, you really don't have to include or exclude any questions because the response trend report is just when people responded and how many people responded. So this is really great if you're just tracking over time. And you can change it. So if I want, it's basic right now, I can say go advanced, and I want a range chart or radar chart, area chart. It's up to you. Again, you can change it around a lot. But this is great if you want to track over time how many people are responding. So before we wrap up here, I do want to say that if you cannot find a report that works for you, reach out to us, sign up for a support call, and we will help you figure out which ones best fit your need. It's not always just one report. Sometimes you might use the Omni report and the verbatim report, or you might use the comparison report and the response table. Again, think about who you're presenting to, what story you want to tell, and good luck with creating your reports. Let's jump back in. If we have any questions. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for using SoGoSurvey.